Let's begin with Psalm 65. To you our praise is due in Zion, O God. Today to you we pay our vows, you who hear our prayers. To you all flesh will come with its burden of sin. Too heavy for us our offenses, but you wipe them away. Blessed is he whom you choose and call to dwell in your courts. We are filled with the blessings of your house. You keep your pledge with wonders, O God, our Savior. You are the hope of all the earth. You crown the year with your goodness. Abundance flows in your steps. The hills are girded with joy, the meadows covered with flocks, the valleys are decked with wheat. They shout for joy. Yes, they sing. Psalm 65, a hymn of praise and thanksgiving. The Lord is our Savior. We shall sing to stringed instruments in the house of the Lord all the days of our life. And so we pray, Lord God, hope of all the earth, hear the humble prayer of your children as we sing your praises. Pour out your Spirit on us, that our lives may bear fruit abundantly. Amen. It's coming up to 10 minutes after 5 o'clock, and today is Tuesday, January the 4th, 2021. No time for sleepiness. Time to wake up to embrace the new year and all the prospects of increased activity, work, reward that comes with a new year. Thanks very much for joining the station. Thanks very much for joining us on Early Rise. I'm Ronnie Thwaites. Pearnel Charles will join me later to continue our discussions all about issues affecting Jamaicans at home and in the diaspora. It's new enough still for me to remind you this station's purpose is to link people of Jamaican origin, Jamaican lovers all over the world. We welcome your company. 99.1 3579 on the FM dial is where we're available, and you can also watch our live stream at www.thebridge99fm.com wherever you are in the world. The aim is to link with reciprocal stations and platforms in the major diaspora areas of the world where Jamaicans are in abundance, and through the internet, even where 1-1 are located. The purpose of this program is to link with you in your time zone, so we rate you enough to start very early so that those who are in a distant time zone can check in. And we'd love to hear from you. Please WhatsApp us or text us at 876-551-5782, and our studio line is 876-6764-996. Well, we want to share with you the news of the day. There's a fascinating piece that speaks to international relations and international law. This guy, his name is Mr. Palacios. I purposely didn't mention his name before when he was in Jamaica. He was shipped out yesterday afternoon. He is suspected to have been involved, in fact, been in the very room of the late President Juvenal Moïse of Haiti when he was assassinated. Whether he pulled the trigger, we don't know. Okay, but that's the allegation against him. So he fled to Jamaica or came to Jamaica illegally. So he's left the country now because there were no charges that we could bring, and apparently we don't have any extradition treaty with Haiti. So they couldn't request for us to send him back. He's been shipped out of the island because he was illegally here. All right. I don't know where he's gone. He's Colombian, I think, by nationality. There was news this morning on the BBC that a suspect had been arrested in Panama. So I'm anxious to hear whether his flight went to Panama and they caught him there. Yeah, but hold on now. The thing I'm getting at is the two things. One is we don't really check for Haiti, you know. Yeah, the difference of culture. They were French colonized before they wrested their independence from France in the early 19th century and paid for it for a century and a half. Little known. The level of European colonial oppression in the New World is most clear and exemplified in the case of Haiti. Yeah, they have paid for their freedom over and over. What we said, double on a joint. Yes. All right. And beyond that, well, I think Jamaica both owes Haiti a debt of brotherhood, and would be to our advantage to be far more closely aligned. Although we are together in CARICOM, we're not too check for them, except in negative ways. Negative ways, like how we describe the guns for drugs trade. But we don't really understand it, and there's no real effort, it seems to me, to put an end to it, except the one Coast Guard pickup. Good that is. It's certainly not enough. So one of the things that I'm hoping we can do on this program is really understand more about Haiti and reach out with hands of friendship and comity at all levels, yeah, with that country, beleaguered as they are. Now, the second point I wanted to raise is that the news has it that there was another attempt on a president's life over the weekend in Haiti. Yes? President Ariel Henry, the current president, the man who took over from Juvenal Moise, go to church. Yes? And people go in there and try and kill him off. They never succeeded. But, hold on now. This is a kind of unrest. This is a kind of tyranny, of terrorism. And all I want to say is, thank God we don't have that in Jamaica here. We must never go that way. And while there's plenty to criticize and there's much better we can do, and also we stay. And we don't say that with any notion of triumphalism or we better than them. What we are saying is that we treasure and must cherish the ideals of democracy, of free choice, of respect for human life, of respect for authority. Okay? And that's part of what the value system that we are purveying on the bridge, on the early rise. Well, I always tell you what the weather report is. It's amazing how people far, far off from Jamaica want to know what weather is like here. Amazing. Yeah? It's probably because Cola bat them up there, All right. So the Meteorological Service of Jamaica's forecast for today, Tuesday, January the 4th, reads, this morning we can expect partly cloudy conditions across eastern parishes. It will be mainly sunny elsewhere. This afternoon, it will be partly cloudy. A weak trough is expected to remain across the island over the next few days. All right. So what I think is likely is that we'll have a clear day and probably a cloudy afternoon. Yeah, who can ask for more? Who can ask for more? In the nation, yesterday, schools reopened face-to-face for the Easter term. At least 4 primary schools in the corporate area reported no hiccups, but there was low student turnout at some institutions, as may have been expected. It takes a little while to readjust to face-to-face learning for parents, teachers, and students. Well, let's pause on that one a while, because the Observer newspaper this morning, or the Gleaner really, says that plenty picnic couldn't go to school because the uniform never right, and because there wasn't enough notice and time for the parents to get the uniform straight. But hold on now. There's an image in the Bible, about straining the gnat, G-N-A-T, and leaving the camel. We mustn't major on minors, minor things. What is important is that the picnic come to school. If the picnic come to school barefoot, or the picnic come to school in jeans, so long as they're properly covered. Yes? Let them come to school and deal with the uniform next week or the week after now. Because it's not only the short notice, the 1 week that was given, but plenty of people cannot afford to suit out the picnic without making good preparation for it. Plenty parents have to get a partner draw before them can do that. Plenty mother have to check out the father and send the picnic go pick up her money if it's available, if you can find him, in order to be able to afford the shoes and the uniform and the socks and thing. So beg you, let us. The loss of a day in school is an immeasurable difficulty that we are imposing on the children, and also on ourselves. So it is not to deny the importance of proper dress and deportment, but it is to understand a certain level of flexibility a withdrawal from rigidity, yes, that will make us take a different approach on this. Teachers, principals, do not strain the gnat and leave the camel. Yeah? Make sure that we get the children back in school as quickly as possible. That's the important one. There's reports in the press also that in the violence-prone areas of parts of Kingston particularly, children are evidencing some of the psychological imbalances that the long absence from school has brought out. Yeah? When you ask them to draw their life, they draw a whole heap of gun and a whole heap of dead man and a whole heap of shatter and violence. What do you expect? What do you expect? If this is what they have been exposed to, if this is what they live with, then this is what they are going to illustrate, you know. I wonder if we understand the damage we're doing to our children the longer we leave this kind of situation largely unchanged. Yes? When they see police behave in a certain way, then they come to hate police, and then we have public relations telling us that we must love the police. It doesn't work that way. And the higher echelons of the police force and the political persons in charge of security do not know what happens on the beat and on the street. That I have proven over so many years. And it affects people's reaction to the police. And when you hear the bleating about please tell the police all you know and please cooperate with the law enforcement agencies, that is not going to happen when the experience of the guard room, the experience of the anti-crime squad on the beat, the experience is so negative. Often, not always, it is often so negative that people's attitudes are malformed, but they are reflecting their reality. Eh? So, you know, when you talk about increased security measures and more power to the security forces, watch what you're doing, because very often you can be creating and extending the very problem of no confidence that you want to avert, and which is essential to be averted if you're going to have a crime-free situation. I support police youth clubs, right? Where you have a better relationship developing among young people and the police, and where they can get to know each other, and where they can imbue proper values. That's a very important aspect of crime solving, as important, in my view, more important than the AK-47 pointing at you on the street and say, boy, come off the corner, take the van, yes? So these are some of the things that we need to change in this country. Schools, let's get back to work as quickly as possible. How about the teachers' turnout? Is that as uniform as we want it to be? Yeah? And please understand that we have to be able to withstand some of the inevitable dips and fallbacks. Some schools are going to have instances of COVID. And it's not that's not an occasion for everybody to stampede and say, see, you know, work from home or go back to virtual learning. No, it can be cauterized in the classroom, in the school, right? In order that we can have the general fabric of resumed learning take place. Wise words yesterday from Professor Winston Davidson, the public health expert, pointing out that schools can become spreaders of the virus, but that if one is careful and one is surgical in responding to these things, then reopening face-to-face learning, excuse me, and being careful to avoid COVID are compatible. That's important. That's the important thing. Okay, so more on that this morning. We can look at some of the issues there. There's an interesting letter in the Observer this morning I want to bring to your attention. It's from Jeffrey Mordecai. Jeffrey Mordecai is a well-known attorney. He's had a career, I believe, in insurance, Rhodes Scholar. And he writes to the Prime Minister, and he says, you know, Prime Minister, you need to remove yourself as head of the National Road Safety Committee. One, because your presence is largely ceremonial for obvious reasons. You can't spend your time doing that. And secondly, the issues got so bad now that it needs strong leadership. Therefore, better you turn it over to somebody else who is properly instructed and enabled. I'm not going to comment on his suggestion, which is enough to draw people's attention as it has mine. But I want to say to you that we're not serious about road safety. Yeah, I'm repeating something, but it bears repetition. Until you train drivers adequately, properly, and you retrain them, and you punish road crimes, road misdemeanors, by imposing retraining, you are getting nowhere. You can bleat about the new Road Traffic Act as much as you like. You can tighten the regulations as much as you want, and those are important things to do. Please don't misunderstand. But the majority of our drivers, particularly young drivers in this country, have not been properly trained. Many of them, and I say them rather than us, many of them have bought their license, and they continue to do so. And many of them are in a emotional, psychological, and physical state where they should not be riding any motorbike, nor should they be driving any taxi or any 18-wheeler or any vehicle at all on the road. Okay? It is chaos out there, Minister. It is absolute chaos out there, especially now that there's more traffic on the road because school time are gone. Once 7 o'clock hit in the morning, and even before, and in the evening as well, you are talking about absolute chaos on Jamaican roads, especially in the urban and peri-urban areas. And therefore the question arises, why hasn't the National Road Safety Committee prioritized driver education and driver re-education? Why? Why is it that they talk about every other measure? They bemoan all of the speeding and the overtaking and the everything else. But we're not dealing with the base. You cannot drive a vehicle on the basis of some kind of informal lie down and look-see or learn from watch. It is a very complex thing. You have a whole heap of people driving car and truck who can't read, Now, if you can't read, you have a whole heap of people driving car and truck who smoke weed or drink liquor. So how that go? So if you are not testing for that, and when a person is brought up for careless or dangerous driving, they are not made to undertake, you can't get back your license, Busher, unless you undertake a retraining course, which you pay for, and which is administered in a way that you can't buy it off or corrupt it. Yeah, no simulation either, please. I know about that effort, and that's okay, but that's not nearly enough. Over 400, brushing 500 people dead on the roads of Jamaica last year. How'd that go? And multiples more injured. And the insurance company has set a SAPS. Hear me? Because they collect your premium, okay? But they should be the ones who are promoting road safety. They should say, unless you can prove to me that you have got a valid license and you have no blemishes on it, I'm not insuring you, because if I do, it's likely that you will have a claim that exceeds the premium that you are paying. So why we don't get serious about road safety? Why we don't get serious about life in Jamaica? Answer me that question now. About life in Jamaica. That's what we defend. Liberty. Yes, the kingdom of God is the flourishing of humanity. More on that and so much more when we come back on Early Rise on the Bridge 99 FM. Okay, I'm leaving the bauxite issue for Chief Charles when he comes. And that's a major question for today. The National Resource Conservation Authority, NRCA, yes, has decided that they're going to license some over 1,000 hectares of land to be mined by the Noranda bauxite company. And I'm really wondering about that. The details are that some 8,000 hectares were applied for, and they have contracted the area restricted it to portions of St. Anne, which he knows better than I, and decided that that is the area that's going to be mine. They say there are conditions, yeah, but I'm really questioning what those conditions are, how our history inures to whether those conditions are going to be maintained or not. My view is that it's highly doubtful, and that we are, once again, we have hard ears. You know what hard ears is? Hard ears is when you don't learn. Okay? You look at experience, you look at authority, and you don't learn. You do the same thing over again, and you expect a different conclusion. What was it? Albert Einstein said that is madness. Yes, and we in Jamaica, in my view, are continuing madness with a smiling face and expecting that somehow good will come out of that. Honorable Pearnel Charles Sr., good morning, sir.
Good morning. Morning, Reverend.
Glad you're here, sir. And because I was bursting with this issue of mining in your part of St. Anne. How you feel?
Well, as I told you,
Mercy.
I'm not opposed to mining. I'm opposed to where you mine, how you mine, and what happens after you mine. Because in some countries where they have gold, they mine. Diamond, they mine. But they mine under certain rules and regulation. And I'm sure that the forefathers of our nation, when they were signing the first contract, made certain provisions in the contract, how you mine, where you mine, and when you mine. We have not been following that, and that is my problem.
Okay, so let me let me query you on what you've said. First of all, mining of itself can't be wrong.
Because it's earning revenue
but
for the country to pay the police, the teachers, the doctors, take care of those who cannot take care of themselves.
Right, it can do that. But there's a difference now. Mining for gold, mining for copper, those things are underground. Huh? Okay? What we are doing is strip mining. We're not going underground too tough. We're taking off the top. Now that's a different kind of mining.
No. We're not taking off the top. We take off the top and put aside to put back. Remember, bauxite is not necessarily on the top. You have the first thing they do is to remove the topsoil.
It affects the top.
And they're supposed to put it aside.
Yeah.
They're supposed to reclaim the land and put back that topsoil on the top so that we can continue planting. So much of that has not been done.
Well, this is it. I want to ask the retired MP and the gentleman who originated in southern St. Anne. When you see what you see for the past 60 years, how can you be neutral or supportive of what our government is doing right now in the same area of St. Anne where you come from, Mr. Charles?
Well, let me tell you something.
Mercy.
Hold on, because that's a very good question. And I think I have a not so good answer, but I'm going to answer you. As I said, I am not opposed to mining bauxite in Jamaica. What I'm opposed to is where you mine, how you mine, and what happens after you mine. In fact, even what you do with what you mine.
True.
It's important
Very
to
important.
me. So I am not opposed to the country properly regulating and doing mining. Now, what has been done in St. Anne in the past, in Clarendon and in Manchester, the holes, the pits, whatever is left there, nobody, in my opinion, should be proud of that. The topsoil that has been taken off in some places has become mountains. They have not been put back where the land has been reclaimed so that we can plant trees and plant that.
So what blessed assurance do you have that it will be any different this time?
Well, I was listening to the special committee that is put up, and I said, you must be listening too, and you must be saying, I am hearing you, but I'm not seeing you. I'm not feeling you.
No, sir.
But it looks like they are going to be serious this time.
Oh.
And I am going to watch them. I am not going to pass any judgment, negative judgment on them.
But by the time
And, well, we don't know what the government reaction is going to be.
Well, no, but the fact of the matter is by the time we allow them and try test them out, there's something turned bad already, it's gone. The Depon ship, noble kinseat with us. Gone with the bauxite. And just as has happened in the past, yes, we say, oh, you should have done this and you should have done that, and there's money that you should pay for us. But that company sell. That is the history of bauxite industry. We must come out of it, Mr. Charles.
Yes, well, you just said something that is unpastoral. We're gone by the morning, can't come good evening. There are a whole lot of bad things that come before you that you have to pray for and you have to change.
Yes, sir.
So,
this man, this,
as a reverend
I've been
gentleman,
thinking.
I'm inviting you to say, let us look at this one
Yes, sir.
and watch it and work with it.
Yes.
Because I know that we have not been paying enough taxes that can pay those who have to be paid from the budget. And we must maintain the hospitals, we must maintain the civil servants,
but I don't
we must
think
maintain the teachers,
there are other
the
ways.
police, the security, and they have to be paid not from taxes alone, but from earnings from the government.
Let us look at that. First of all, certainly before there should be any further mining of bauxite, we want to know how much we're going to get from it. Yes?
Get what?
How much money we're going to get out of it.
Yes, well,
But we don't know.
No, but you must ask.
Hold on, sir.
You have a right to know because it's the public's business.
And when
you have a good minister of finance that will tell you.
No, wait a minute. I accept that. When I asked in the parliament, over which you were surprised.
Yes, that was yesterday.
I get a boof. But wait, no. And remember, we went into this folly, and we are still, to the best of my knowledge, in the folly of this profit sharing, which is a scam. I commend the present Minister of Mining, Mr. Montague, about whom there are many criticisms, but I commend him because I heard him last time he spoke in the sectoral debate. Yes, the budget debate. He said he's bringing back the bauxite levy.
Yes.
At least we know, what is it, the 15% that we are to get. And that money is certain. The profit sharing money never certain.
I heard that we don't get no more for money.
No, we don't get
Because
none.
if a man say him don't make no profit, you don't have nothing to get.
Exactly. But him
And how you going to determine they make profit or not?
But him gone with your flour.
Huh?
Him gone with your flour. No, seriously, no. Bridge Nation. We're fooled bad, you know.
No. Look, Ronnie,
We're no fools.
the truth is, and I'm glad you're here. You say a word about what Montague has said.
Yes.
If you look on the history of payment for bauxite to the Jamaican
Yes, sir.
government or the Jamaican people,
Yes, sir.
it has been swinging. When the people said they were not going to continue mining because they were losing everything, we said, look, you're making some profit. So let's turn to the profit and pay us out of the profit. Now, when they said they don't make any profit, we get nothing.
Well, but we lost.
And them gone with the bauxite.
But exactly, sir. I wanted you to finish saying that, and that can't be a right equation, even if we had to suck
That's
salt.
why Montague, as you said, say, look, since we can't know whether you make it or not, because you can do everything to raise up your costs.
Exactly.
Right? Let us go the way that Norman Manley and Bustamante, the contract
Michael
that they
Manley
work out,
and the bauxite levy in the 1970s.
Levy,
yes. But all of those things, we accept. But in the meanwhile, until we are sure, I ask myself the question. I hope I'm reasonably well informed, and watch what governments are doing or not doing. If I ask myself, how much has Jamaica earned over the past 5 years from the bauxite sector, I cannot answer. And I cannot get that answer.
Let me disturb you.
All right.
There was a time when there was a budget, when there was a quantity of money earned from the bauxite before we start to draw from it. So we knew that we were making money. We knew we had a hell of a lot of money.
Right.
What has happened?
Well,
we have drawn all of it.
We've done it.
Into budget to pay everybody. Right? And I know you was going to say and take That's
Yeah. No. I accept, for example, that
no,
many,
no. So what I'm saying, we know we were making money and how much we were making.
Yeah.
What has happened now? We don't know whether we're making and how much we're making,
No, but we
and
know,
we need to know that.
But we know we're losing. We know we are losing.
Well, we know we know they say they're not making, so we're not getting.
No, but all right. But let's accept that. We need to know precisely what
And I
it
agree
is.
with you.
Yes.
If you're not getting and you're not making, leave it alone.
Exactly. If what you keep in your shop don't sell, you know, Gateway, what you do is hold on to it until the price or the conditions of trade improve. And especially since you can earn something off that land, if you leave it in its present condition, if you utilize it responsibly, rather than risking and giving it away and putting it in a situation where it can never produce again.
Yeah, but I know. Well, two things I think you're wrong on, so let me correct you.
Correct me.
The bauxite mining operation is being planned. Is on land that has not been working since it was free from the slave masters.
Oh,
Secondly,
you sure that's so? The 1,000 acres.
one or two farmers go and plant a little yam and banana in there. Right? There's a what you call.
So what you say is this as cheap, we scrape it off?
Huh?
Is this as cheap, as we say, that we scrape it off and make the bauxite company go on? We couldn't do nothing else with it. We couldn't even plant trees.
No. Ronnie, hold on. You have to decide whether or not the country needs to earn funds to carry on the business, and whether leaving it in the way. You know what struck me the other day? Where they're mining over in Centon, what to call it? What the place?
Oh, which one?
Where the mining operation is taking place.
Okay, Noranda in Discovery Bay. That's where they.
Yeah, but what is the big name?
Oh, I don't know what you're referring to.
All right, okay. What I am trying to tell you is that where they're mining, every time a hurricane come, it blow down.
Oh.
And the trees rotten, stay there, grow up for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So if you can put these lands into mining operation and reclaim them, and farmers can get into them in the future to perform even better. Some of the lands, that are mining, you never get any profit or any work out of it.
I'm accepting
bauxite don't produce what we want.
No, well, I'm accepting
So you
that.
move the bauxite and you put back topsoil, plant trees.
Yes.
If
Well,
that was the objective, never happened.
I hope that I live long enough to be able to have you prove me wrong, that is highly, highly unlikely. Our history tells us otherwise, and I don't...
It's not highly unlikely if the bridge continues to be here, and if they permit us to watch along. And when I listened to the bauxite guys last night, they seem to be serious this time. They seem to be hearing you saying you have not been doing your job, right?
Well, I hope so. I'm suspicious of mouth talk,
Huh?
I'm suspicious of mouth talk. I want to see. I
don't know why you are suspicious of my mouth
No,
talking.
not you. Not you.
Well, why am I suspicious of your mouth talking?
You are right.
Well, why are we suspicious of Peter talking?
Because the history.
Oh.
Because of the history.
Oh,
And
okay,
they haven't told us about how they're going to, what happened with the craters that you described so poignantly in your part of St. Anne.
Yeah.
Yes? They haven't told us about the caverns in St. Elizabeth.
In Moko.
And in Moko.
And in St. And as I told you,
So they're born again now, they get baptized.
Moko was a garden of Eden. It's now a jungle if a cow slip on the top and roll to the bottom,
Yes,
there's no way he can contain life in his body.
Okay, sir.
And I have seen them sit in lovely offices in Kingston, both the bauxite, whatever you call them, committee,
Bauxite Institute.
and these people, they don't leave town.
Okay.
They don't go out there and do what they're supposed to be doing. And I'm sure, but everybody is on the politician and the police, not on the others. Get off of the politician and the police. There's much more thing to be done.
Who has responsibility for the bauxite industry? A Bauxite Institute. Another Minister of Mining, sir? Him. And,
That's
and he has ultimate responsibility.
Who?
The Minister of Mining.
Yes.
And therefore he must deal with it in a way that gives public confidence. And unfortunately, the history of that supervision is not resplendent of anything good. So
I accept and I agree with you. And the bauxite, the minister ultimately goes to the cabinet or to the head of the cabinet.
So I have one other quick thing to
government.
put to you before we break on this one. Why we don't, given the history, given the need for revenue, why don't we undertake a careful, quick, thorough study of whether we are benefiting or not benefiting from the industry before we go any further?
Well, who said we don't know?
We don't know. You yourself said that. We don't know. We don't know how much money we're
I
earning
mean, they
from
don't
it.
tell us.
Well, that is the same thing.
What?
Secondly, no one has accurately studied and estimated, projected what is the environmental cost. We know, for example, from Jamaica Environment Trust, that the state of Kingston Harbor was properly estimated at costing us probably $500 million over a period of time, the state of the harbor. What is the loss? What is the makeup that would have to be spent or replaced because of the bauxite sector for the past 6 years? Surely we must find that out. Surely we just can't say, boy, we need the money, so we are going to do the thing.
Well, what would be an alternative for the country to earn some money if we didn't do some mining?
My view is that if we were to have, and even now, fully engaged ourselves in scientific agriculture, we could have done much, much better than anything we've done from bauxite over the years.
And Ronnie, I must say, that sounds good.
Yes.
And I wish the zoning could become practical.
Yes.
But they have not shown me.
No.
There are many areas you agree with me
All right, let me
that
come.
once you drive down Spur Tree, going to Westmoreland,
Yeah.
there's not the amount of land that are unmined,
Yeah.
unplanted,
So-
it's in ticky.
So let me
And they have water.
what
They
a
have-
thing on Bridge Nation this morning on Early Rise. Let me compromise with you. If you tell me that mining in the future will be restricted to those areas of land that now are in ruinette, yes, in the Tiki and in Macabush, if you tell me that the soil type of those lands as now is such, so alkaline maybe, that it cannot produce any reasonable crop, okay, and therefore the best thing we do is make the
No,
bauxite.
can I go on if I tell you?
Yeah.
And if I tell you that after removing that,
Right.
you are going to
put it
reclaim
back.
the land,
Yes.
put back the topsoil that you put one side,
God will come
and say
first.
to the farmers, give us a few months, right? Rain coming,
Yeah.
you can now plant
Yeah.
yam, potato,
whoa.
cocoa
Listen to this
in those
man.
lands where you could not plant because it
Before.
would not come
Okay.
before.
If
Then
you-
I will back you.
Okay, if we can do that, then for those limited areas, I would say that is both death and resurrection. That is good, okay? But that's fine. Let's go with that and get some money. Make sure we have good
Yes,
money coming
yes.
out of it. That is, I really hope, even that principle which you have just so well enunciated, if the Prime Minister, if the government came and said, what you know, we're in a bind, you know. We really need the funds. You know, the tourist industry gone down with COVID. The revenue is not keeping up as much as we like. We obviously need more funds to do all the right things. Yeah, we're not going to spend it out like we did with the Capital Development Fund. Okay, but we need the funds. Now, this is how we are going to operate it. This is the land. This is why it is this land. This is what we promise that we're going to see across administrations, right, again, to ensure that the reclamation is done. Then I will join you with that.
Well, Ronnie, anytime that put it this way, I'm drawing the line now.
Okay.
I'm becoming a new man. Because the bridge has turned me into a connection that
Can I get a hallelujah?
maybe I wasn't. Right? But Ronnie, let us be frank. let's be broad in our approach.
Yes, sir.
The country has to earn some fund, but it cannot earn it
At
at
any cost.
the expense of
Yes.
the rest of us lives.
But, yes.
You made a point a while ago,
Yes.
which I've been concerned about.
Uh-huh.
Kingston Harbour.
Right.
I dread the Kingston Harbour when I'm Minister of Public Utilities.
Really?
For millions and millions. And all that came out of it come from uptown.
Look, of course. Of course.
Not from mining.
No. It's fridge and dead dog. And
From people
stuff
driving them
come
car,
down.
come down and
Yeah.
throw all
Throw
them
the- all
garbage
in
in
the
a gully.
gully.
And everybody who live below them live with the rats and the cockroaches.
So-
you as a churchman should be guiding me in a religious because they don't take the politics. So,
They're not listen, but you're onto some.
They don't take the
you're-
religion either.
No, you're onto some deep things because they don't take the religion either. What we have done is to allow an ethic of selfishness to become the dominant one. Oh, you mean I mustn't drop my fridge in the gully? And who cares that the fact that it comes out at Raytown or Burger Gully downtown? Because I have to get rid of it, And those damn solid waste management people, they don't come, And they're just so corrupt. And therefore, I just do what I have to do with it.
I hear a man in his bedroom just call out and Mr. Charles, you were minister. What did you do? Let me tell you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Listen to me carefully.
You're talking
Listen
to the
to
man.
me. I get out my office and I walk the road,
Yeah.
Marcus Garvey drive and so, and I see a truck
Yeah.
depositing garbage
Yeah.
at the Marcus Garvey. I say, hold him.
Yeah.
I say, boss man, there's 7 truckloads
Yeah.
that you have deposited. No, sir, 7 there behind you. Unless you remove the 7, you don't have no truck.
Right.
And I put 2 policemen to watch him,
Yeah.
and he removed the 7.
Of
Him
course.
don't drop back none.
No.
Same thing with a man who come down and drop the garbage in the gully, and the police stop him and say, yes, boss, you see all them garbage over there, and you drop them there, So you have to get a man go clean it.
up.
In other words, Ronnie, you don't have to beat me. You don't have to shoot me. But you have to get me to understand that there's a responsibility that I have to carry out to be a part of the society.
So when we come back from the break, let us turn to philosophy, because what is, and behavioral science, by what means are we going to retrain that truck driver, the people uptown, as well as, the people downtown, to an ethic of behavior and of mutual responsibility, of reverence for the common good, that says that I cannot deface the environment, whether it is by strip mining or by throwing down garbage or by in any way hurting my brother. When we come back on the Early Rise, Pearnel, Charles, and myself, we'll find this kind of discussion anywhere else, We're reaching out to the diaspora. That's what the bridge does. Soon come. In order to get to the point, Chief, about how we inculcate appropriate values and correct inappropriate attitudes in the society, I want to commend an article I saw in the press yesterday where Minister Grange, Babsy Grange, has suggested that, has promised that for the arrangement of the celebrations for Jamaica's 60th anniversary of independence, she's convening an organizing group which will include members of the diaspora and members of the opposition.
Yes.
Now, that's a consensus approach.
Yes.
She need not take that.
Yes.
Or rather, history would have expected her not to. But she is.
Now, the politics that we have lived with don't have those ingredients.
No, but she's recognizing that if you want to have a national celebration, yes, it's not just the goodness of her heart.
Yes, it has to include all of us.
It has to include everybody.
Yes.
No, and if you have some excluded voices,
then you don't have a national.
you don't have a national. And I commend her and say, not only is that good for independence 60, but also that should become the template of how we operate in every element of government. And if we did, I believe more people would fall into line.
Yes, because if we could get both sides at the top,
Right.
at the middle,
Yeah.
coming down
Right.
to do that, that the bottom will come in.
Comply.
But if you're coming down divided, don't expect the bottom to join you.
Well,
In other words, they're going to grab which side can give them most.
well, look at that. So what you find then is that you move politics and political expression, inspiration. You move it from being a transactional experience, which is what it is now. Yes. And you turn it into a cooperative experience. Now that sounds nice. That's really pretty talk on my part. But it is the only way to go, and we must try it, even if it becomes very difficult, and even if it's resisted.
And the first thing that has to be done
Yeah.
is that you have to agree that you are going to win some and you're going to lose some.
Okay.
If you do the right thing, you're not going to have the people on your side all the while. In fact, what you think is right, a lot of people think is not right. So you're going to have division. But if those who are supportive of those who think it's not right, and those who are supportive of those who think it's right can work together, then we can get those sides together.
Okay.
And I said to you a while ago, even in the churches, the easiest place to convert a man is where he's converted and go.
Well, my view is that if you could mandate it, but let's not bother go there. If you could encourage more, every child must go to Sabbath school or Sunday school. Yes, because when you're older, they may not. They may broke bad, but if you catch them at the early age and inculcate the values, teach them the psalms that you would have learned. Yes, teach them the principles of behavior of good life at that age, even if they stray later on. Yes, what you said, win some, lose some.
Yes.
They will come back because those are the fundamental prescriptions that they have learned. That is when you're careless about that, you are careless about the future of the nation.
Earlier in our, some time ago,
Yes.
you talk about Boys Brigade,
Yes.
Boys Scout,
Yeah,
Pathfinders,
Cadets,
and all of these
Scout.
things. And I remember when I went to Western Training College, they had a brigade,
Yeah.
not the military one.
Right.
And one morning we were 4 o'clock, somebody knocked on my door and said, Corporal Charles,
Wait.
we have an emergency.
Yeah.
Get your team together, we have to move. You don't ask what.
No.
And you know what was it?
What is it?
The train crash.
Oh my Lord, 57.
We were the
September 1st.
first group
Really?
of scouts,
Yeah,
what do I call it? The
Helpers,
not
volunteers.
the military type,
Yes.
right?
Uh-huh.
Ronnie,
Kendall.
Kendall, I remember moving ahead.
Uh,
That was a brown man head, searching for the body.
oh
I
God.
couldn't find the body.
Oh Lord, many Jamaicans don't know
Right.
that terrible
Listen, man.
train crash.
It
Outside
was
of
the
Mandeville.
worst train crash in the
The
world
Yes.
at that time.
September 1st,
Right in Kendall, in
1957.
Jamaica. And you're talking to somebody who was first on the
On
spot.
the spot. Excellent. But that taught you lessons, grim lessons, but lessons nonetheless that you have never forgotten. No, why don't we? These don't cost a lot of money. You
Now, I
know?
was talking about education.
Yes.
We were trained from then, from the
Picnic. Yes.
the thing, the not the Boy Scout, the one in the church
Yeah.
that you mentioned earlier.
Pathfinder.
Pathfinders.
Yeah.
I was a pathfinder. I was a this and a that.
So let me ask you this question. That experience that you're speaking of, including being a first responder at Kendall as a young person, have those experiences, those occasions, have they influenced your life?
Ronnie, it was 1950 something, and now it's 2022.
22.
I can still see the blood.
Yeah.
I can still see the body, headless bodies, hands over there, and we look into which foot fits which body. Right? It has never, ever left me. And you know what it taught me?
What has it taught you?
1 second before these things happen, you're doing all kind of things.
Yeah.
You were drinking,
Yeah.
jumping,
Sure.
laughing,
Coming from
and
a
boom,
picnic. Boom.
death.
Death. Okay. So the point we're making to our listeners, the point we're making to Jamaicans is that you have to be conscious of how close death is to life, and therefore how you live life in a way that is more conscious, more responsive than just Lego yourself.
Well, I was saying that because you said something about education.
Yeah.
And education is not only in the schools.
No.
Education is in the home.
Yeah.
But when the mother is dumb
Yeah.
or uneducated, she has to get assistance.
Yeah.
So you have the church.
Yeah.
You have other.
But then why do we spoil all of that by debasing notions of freedom and free expression, by cultivating a media, yes, where in fact those values that a conscious mother, a faithful and progressive church approach would have helped a school with in the upbringing of a child. Why is it that we now fill them with the poison of believing that if them leg of themselves...
Something has happened along the line, because let me tell you, there are many mothers who did not get a chance to go to no elementary school.
No.
But they were given experience from their grandmother,
Of course.
auntie,
Yeah.
the community,
Yeah.
and they're brighter than some of the big high school graduates.
The-
And things that they could have done
Sure.
are doing to help us to get us into. Some of those people are listening to us now in New York and in Toronto.
So
and
tell
in
me now, video games can take you the same distance? I don't
you know
think
how
so.
they get there?
Yeah.
You remember when the ship used to line up and people, I don't know if they had passport. I used to see people just go on. They don't even know where they're going.
No?
Some have an auntie and 10 men go to the auntie, and the auntie only have one room.
Never mind.
And out of that, we have a diaspora today
Sure.
of young men like who spoke to us from London.
Yes,
I mean, what a fantastic group
Yeah,
that
we're
we
gonna
have
check them
all over
again.
the world.
Yeah.
And I see you looking at me and say, if we could carry them back here, they probably would do better than those of us who are here.
No, my concern is you're going to recruit him for your party, you know, on that. I want him to come back in a different motif. But never mind, we're teasing each other.
We do that,
The fact of the matter is that we face a crisis of what we believe in, who we are, who we want to be as a people. And the general direction now is that we are saying to ourselves that everybody just scramble and get what they can and do what they please. And frankly, it is a criticism, and I'm going to put it this way, a friendly criticism of the Jamaica Labour Party, that it does not ascribe to any ideology. It doesn't.
It does not expose.
Well, I don't know what it is. You tell me.
Well, what ideology the PNP is?
Well, at least they have the
No. You said
No, I will.
The JLP.
I will.
What is the ideology of the PNP?
It's Fabian socialism, but
It's what?
It's Fabian socialism, but the fact is that they have diluted that, and they are as much adrift, or almost as much adrift, as the JLP.
Well, somebody said that the only difference between the JLP and the PNP is the man.
Well,
Which side you on?
okay, is that good enough?
No.
No.
It's not good enough.
Thank you, Mr. Charles.
It's not good enough.
Thank you, Mr.
Because you're not giving a real choice of performance.
Well, no, but apart from the choice, I want to know what principle you stand for. Is it a principle in this country that every person should have?
Now, don't tell me that I don't have a principle.
No, I want to know what your principle is.
Well, we have to document that.
Well, but hold on. The dominant principle now in this country.
You know why I wouldn't say that I am a democratic socialist?
Why?
Because I've seen what socialism has done to the world.
Okay.
You know what I would say? I'm a capitalist.
Yeah.
I've seen what capitalism has done to the
Sure.
world.
So we need a third way.
So, you know who I am? I have looked at what it is today. And I've started out as a trade unionist. I've gotten into the political field. I was a councillor for 2 terms, a senator for 2 terms, a member of parliament for 7 terms, and a minister for 5 terms.
Mercy.
And I work in a system with JLP, PNP, and no P. And I was very comfortable because I didn't see you as a socialist and that you should be in Moscow. Or you're a capitalist, you should be in Washington. Right? But
Well,
some people see me otherwise.
My concern
They say I'm a social,
a
social person.
Well, what are we hit on the word? He can't get it out. You know?
Right. It has to. It's the social and the cultural part of it. You cannot left out. Jamaica is a very special place, right? And we have developed our own ideology
Yes.
out of slavery, out of the capital man, and out of the communist man.
What is that ideology? Because that ideology at the present time is an ideology of which is not inclusive enough to take into account the basic aspirations of all of our people. That's a problem.
I don't think that there's an ideology that is going to take into consideration the aspiration of all the Jamaicans.
So hold on now. If that is the case, then
no. You criticize that first.
Yes, I will. To me, that is unacceptable.
No. Tell me if you think I'm wrong, that there is no ideology.
No, I'm agreeing with that, and this is why we have the.
Well, I want you to answer the question you're going to ask because I can't answer it.
Richard.
So where do we go from here?
We go from here, first of all, with a principle. I draw from the African example, Ubuntu. I am because you are, which means that I will not pass any law, I will not spend any money, I will not comport my personal life in a way which is directly prejudicial to your well-being. Which means, therefore, that I can't countenance a society where 2% of the population controls 60 or 70% of the wealth, and the rest of us suck salt. I can't countenance a society which has hitched on the issue of a minimum wage up to this day, the 4th of January, despite all the promises. I can't countenance a society which continues to miseducate people. All of these things, yes, and therefore.
Yeah, but let me disturb you.
Okay.
All that you have said is a minority in the society. In other words, this is not to say if you have 10 people and 5 are all right, 2 not so all right, 2.5 not so all right, and 2.5 is bad.
No. There's no question. There's no question of equality of wealth.
No.
That's not the issue. The question is reasonable opportunity. Yes, and people who earn $7,200, and that isn't everybody, because there's plenty unemployed, as you know. Yes, those people cannot provide for themselves and be expected to to send a picnic back to school. No, let's be very imminent.
I see you pointing your finger at me. Say I was Minister of Labour, and what did I do?
No, I never point my finger.
Well, let me look at you and tell you what I did.
Yes, sir.
Remember, Ronnie, that minimum wage is not necessarily what you have to pay. Minimum wage meaning minimum of what you can pay, but you can negotiate anything above that.
Yeah, but face the reality. The
right.
reality
face
is
the reality. A lot of people say that is what the government has to pay.
60% of the wage earners in Jamaica, the unemployed people, are earning minimum wage or slightly above that.
I'll stop right there. Let me tell you something what the survey has not seen. I, who had the responsibility, have looked at it and see that many people who are earning minimum wage have to employ people. Mm-hmm. In other words, a lot of the women who come to Kingston to work for John Brown and makes a minimum wage have to pay something to Miss Birdie in the country who taking care of picnic them. What do you think she have to pay? She don't pay the minimum wage, so she break the law. So she get a cousin, right? Who she work a thing with, give her a little thing out of fair minimum. So the minimum wage that some of them earn is way below minimum.
Yes, sir. So if that is the
case,
case,
that is how you bring in PATH. That's how PATH came to say minimum wage can take care of Miss Bertha and her 10 children. So it take PATH to take care of the 10 children.
PATH don't cover people who work, you know.
Oh?
PATH don't cover people who work much.
No. PATH will cover you the condition in which your children are in.
Look here.
In other words, if you're earning minimum wage and you have 4 children,
PATH is a good thing.
PATH will take care of the children.
PATH is a good thing. PATH is completely inadequate.
Yeah.
Yes? And if we are spending money on the wrong things, and it is not to give people something, it is to give them opportunities, not to give them resources.
But that's what PATH does anyhow, you know.
Well, it does, for very limited.
No, hold it, Ronnie. Look back at the amount of PATH children who have achieved greatness.
Thank God for that. Look at the numbers who don't.
Well,
Yes? And who form a criminal subculture, many of them. In
I
this
just
country.
saw somebody said, ask him, Mr. Charles, if everybody in preach to follow the footstep of the preaching. Some walk out of church worse than they come in.
Undoubtedly.
Well, I'm putting that to you to
he
say
who is without sin
to
cast the
say
first
that
stone.
we're not going to get perfection,
No, but you have to.
but you have to fight, work towards it.
Well, that is it. And I'm asking the question of us. Yes? Are we moving in a direction which is curbing those defects? Or are we, in fact, particularly with this COVID experience, attenuating the inequality and the imbalance of opportunity in the society?
Before I answer you,
The
I
answer
had
is
something.
clear.
Well, the answer is clear.
Yeah.
I mean, but something struck me 2 days ago.
Right.
I went to a bank, and there were at least 20 or 25 people lined up outside the bank, very peaceful, keeping their distance. I went inside, and those who were sitting 3 feet apart, no war. And I said, my God, I hope we can contain this.
Yes.
I hope we can continue this.
Yes, we can.
Now,
Now, why was it that way?
well, COVID has pushed it to the point.
No, not only that, there's leadership.
Leadership.
Leadership and rules that are reasonable rules
Yes.
that people are anxious to follow because they want to get through their business. When they do not see reasonableness, when they do not see ultimate advantage,
And everybody
Then-
at our level doing it.
precisely. Yes?
It's not assigned just to the poor man.
Exactly so. You are outlining exactly the principles of operation, which are not reflected in the broad spectrum of how we comport our lives and our government in this country.
Ronnie, I hope that out of COVID,
Yeah.
we have learned certain things. And I heard a man complaining that me prefer to make my fitness in my yard and go up on a computer and get it. Is not every child can learn
No.
from a computer.
Uh-huh.
It's not every child have that opportunity to be guided by a brilliant pastor, a brilliant person. So some have to go to school where the teacher has to guide them.
Yeah.
But the principle is you must go to school.
Sure, and therefore I have no complaint with the government's instruction that schools should reopen. It's
Because you get more than education, you know.
Sure.
I mean, more than
more than just book
maths
learning.
and English.
Sure, and
The working together,
how you mean, sir?
the shoulder rubbing.
The very necessity in this circumstance to comply with reasonable health restrictions.
Yes.
Is itself a learning.
Well, I said to myself when I was there, I wonder what Ronnie is going to tell me, because I'm going to say, Ronnie, this bad thing called this virus has bring some good things, you know.
No, but it's important.
Ronnie, have you ever seen so many security men working? Everywhere you go,
Yeah,
3 and 4 or 5 people,
yeah.
security, thousands of people get jobs.
Well, why are we?
And they're spraying your hand,
Okay.
telling you,
Yeah.
wear your mask.
Right.
I mean, I went to the supermarket, the man said, 10 people outside, them don't have no mask. So I'm going to the manager to get masks for them. They can't come in.
Excellent.
I said, and they don't fight.
No, but hold on. Look what we said again. The rules are reasonable. They are firmly but not arbitrarily imposed. Ronnie Thwaites or Pearnel Charles couldn't go in without our mask, and the other 10 people stay out.
Nobody could go in.
Right, sir?
Top our bottom.
Okay. Justice Dennis Morrison, the retired president of the Court of Appeal,
Yes.
was telling me over the weekend that when he went to Cayman, case waiting to try, judge vaccinated and everything else, but he had to observe 10 days of quarantine like everybody else
Yes.
before he could mount the bench.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you do it that way, that may seem excessive, but if you do it that way fairly, yes, people want respect. Respect is born out of fair treatment. Yes?
Well, I have to agree with you at least one point this morning that you have just said it for me.
Yes, sir. So when come and take you up now, because then when now we go to Parliament, as you and I used to go, and go boy, shut your mouth. You know, you're talking foolishness.
That's unparliamentary. And the standing orders.
Yes, sir.
The standing orders provide for you,
Yes, sir.
both to protect you and to prevent any member from doing that. But then the leadership at that time is the Speaker of the House,
right, sir.
which sometimes we fail to do
Yes,
because of the politics of the Parliament.
So tell me again now, when the pick me out the door, when the rude boy out the door, see that now on public broadcasting or wherever it's broadcast, what am say? What am say?
I tell you what I say. When I get a call from New York, from a diaspora, and say, Mr. Charles, what went on in Parliament today?
Yeah.
Where were you?
Yeah.
Ashamed.
Yes, you must.
And that is why I keep saying, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, the diaspora from London to Toronto, from New York to South America, they are watching us. Yeah. And they have my telephone number.
Yeah, good. So we have the mechanism for change now.
Yes.
But it is unfortunately it is still going on, and
it's very hard, Ronnie.
There's a disrespect.
It's very hard, and disrespect
so
comes out of lack of a type of education
and a type of leadership, sir.
Yes.
And also the notion that I succeed when I disrespect you or you become disreputable.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
that to me is a critical thing that we feel, not the Ubuntu philosophy that I am because you are, but that I am because you are not. Yes? And
I am hoping that you could come.
Well, if we continue this way in our political structure, in our economic relations, which undergird our political structure, in our social relations, yes,
and don't leave out the family.
Exactly.
Because that is crucial.
Exactly. But we have the capacity to change those things within our means. Yes. Now, if we continue with that kind of situation, there's very little hope for us, If we change it, which is what our enterprise is about, then, however limited it is, then Jamaica can soar. Jamaica is a jewel, is a spiritual, and can become the social and economic jewel of this region.
Let me bounce you with something that I know you wanted to hit me with. How long did it take Jamaica to make the adjustment to the supermarket, the banks, that you cannot bungle up? You must have. It wasn't too long.
No.
How long did it take that every person, whether you Ronnie Thwaites, Pearnel Charles, or John Clark, or Mr. Brown, going in the thing, you have to stretch out your hand, that man spray it. Yeah. So I said to the man, "There's only one hand you spray." He said, "Yes, you must take the other one and rub it." Right? But the truth is, it can be done, as you have been saying.
Yes.
If all of us decide that is the way to go.
Yeah.
And you get back to where we started. Mining can take place if we set the standards and we find out what good it is to the country, to the people, and we conclude that it is doing some good, but we're going to do this. And that after the mining and the rehabilitation and the reclamation and the recovering, in a few months or years, we can have a new country. Then we are, in my opinion, on a better road.
When we come back from the break, let's follow that, because the news this morning is that legislators, of which we both were part, the legislators are being criticized because we do not pass enough laws, and there are too many bills and regulations that are pending, and we can't get it through. That's an issue that's going to affect diaspora life, their whole impression of the country, and whether they can return here, whether they ought to invest here. Do we have a system of laws that is relevant, that is current? On the early rise, on the bridge, 99 FM, Sucom. So, Mr. Charles, I want to ask you, in the Gleaner this morning, serious accusation against legislators who go to Parliament, carry on and do all kind of things, but they pass very few laws. There's a listing of the number of bills that passed into law last year, and there is a suggestion that there's some major pieces of legislation that ought to have been enacted months, if not years ago, and they still can't hang on. What do you say?
Well, you and I have had the privilege or the opportunity or the opposite of that. I've been in the cabinet.
Yeah.
And we also know when the Prime Minister or the rest of cabinet agrees that your ministry should pilot a law, what that means.
Yeah.
When you say to the permanent secretary, we have to carry something to say no dumping.
Yeah.
How many agencies
Yeah.
that have to make up that cabinet submission?
Right.
And after it is made up, it has to go to how many other agencies
To be vetted.
to even for you to take it to Parliament.
Right, sir.
And when you take it to Cabinet, and Cabinet listen to what you say, they have an amendment.
Sure.
And the amendment has to go the route again.
Yeah.
And the amendment is amended.
Yeah.
So
Some people would hear all of that
Yes.
and say, but yes, you should not pass laws lightly.
Right.
And therefore, if it takes a lot of consultation, which is each of these stages you mentioned,
Yes.
then that is appropriate.
Yes.
But then, face it now, you will remember, as I do, it was probably just when I got to Parliament that we recognized that we had to have a new Road Traffic Act.
Yes.
That was 97. Yes? Now, the Road Traffic Act having been passed under your leadership in Parliament, yes, still can't be brought into effect because the regulations are not drafted, are not complete.
Yes.
And our listeners should know that passing the law is one thing, but the regulations which govern its operation are equally important.
Well, in fact, it's the regulation
That make a difference.
that makes the difference.
Sure.
And the regulation now has to go the route again.
And I tried to make the point when I had a chance to say, don't bother bring the law unless you bring the regulation.
Unless you have the
same time.
regulation.
Because
No, but one of the problems is that when the laws come to Parliament, it has to go to a committee.
Yes.
And the committee cannot deal with the law and the regulation same time. You can't have the regulation before you have a law that is unamended or
All
complete.
right. I take that point, but at least it should follow in short order.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Which is so what are going on the road now is for years we pass a law, but it has no effect, and people are saying, "What do you? How are you so stupid?" Okay. There's so many other instances. The reform of education involved a teaching council bill. That teaching council bill was drafted and was well on the way before I assumed office in 2011, 2012. Yes, from Mr. Holness's time as minister. Yes, and it still can't even reach the floor of Parliament in 2020.
Can I give you a better one?
Oh Lord.
When I was Minister of Labour,
Yeah.
I was praised for carrying the health thing for workers.
Okay.
It never came back for the 5 year I was Speaker.
Occupational safety.
Occupational
Yeah,
safety.
that's right.
And it came back the other day and spent 1 year
Yeah.
between the committee down there.
So
every line is that. So I called the guy. I said, listen, when I was a minister, if I look at a bill and it has 10 and 15 amendments, I send it back to the drafters.
But then it dropped.
No, you know what the final did it?
What
After
did
a year of amending every line, it has to go back to the drafting.
Okay. And then
Because our understanding of the law is different from what the law is going to be if it is to be contested.
okay. So the question arises then, do we have enough draftspersons? How long in this country have we been saying that the modernizing of legislation requires a different operational structure than we have been able to have? I know various ministers have tried to advance it, but it is it hasn't happened. And then people outside look at us and say, but how can you say you're progressive? How can you want to move in this or that direction when the legal basis is not there? And therefore, look at what happened, Mr. Charles. Let our listeners hear from us. When we were under the bridle of the IMF, yes, they are the ones who said, watch you know, we're only going to give you the tranche when you pass this law.
If you
or
get
that
it done
law.
right away.
If you get it done right away. And
you get it done.
And you get it done. But then, sir, that we take, so we stayed in the jungle when the whip a crack. That we move.
The whip.
No, sir. But me not like that.
Ronnie, go back to what I am seriously concerned about, the occupation health.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I said to somebody who was on the committee, why are you guys amending laws and none of your lawyers? Why don't you send it back to the drafting committee or ask them, invite them and read it where you have concern and let them do it. They spend 1 year or 2 years and then they know, say they amend every line.
Because
hold on, they amend every line. It is now not legal.
Oh, have mercy.
You have to send it back to the legal people to see if that amendment can work.
Yeah.
And what occupation health, is not now before the parliament up to now.
So
After nearly 10 years.
But I'm ashamed.
And every day a man drop off a
building.
So
and
I'm
him
ashamed. Him don't wear no shoes.
No.
So Neil run up 9 foot bottom.
I don't have no hat.
You know, I'm not saying it's the kid I made.
Okay. So what people become more and more cynical about the process of governance and about the actors, the leaders in government, when they have to hear the true story of one Pearnel P. Charles and his efforts to do something as uncontroversial and as absolutely necessary as having up-to-date legislation for occupational safety. How that go?
Ronnie,
We must do better than that. We just must do better than that.
Oh yes. Everybody agrees that we must do better than that.
But we not do it.
It is not done.
Yeah.
Why? I tell you one.
Why we're not?
Everybody agrees. Everybody agrees that we must wear a mask, whether you take your injection or not.
Right.
Yeah. Because what? When you go to the supermarket, the man at the door say, "Brethren, you could be Mr. Thwaites, Mr. Charles, and Mr. Brown. You can't come in without the mask. So you have to buy one."
So what is needed then? Strict enforcement of regulation? Is that what it is?
I'm glad that you say it. Because people say that I have a little touch of dictatorship. I don't have a little touch of dictatorship.
No, but big
I have a touch of leadership.
Yeah.
When you give me a job, I must lead it. And I don't care who is going to say I'm leading wrong, because what? My leadership have a stopgap too. Every 5 years you are going to examine whether or not my leadership was right, and you are going to vote for me or against me. This is why we have this type of democracy.
Yeah, but and that's not enough. That is a good stopgap, but that is not enough.
What addition you take?
You have to be broad during your 5 years. You have to be broadly consultative, and you have to be accommodative of other groups.
But that's what the parliament is for.
No, it isn't. But the parliament doesn't work that way, Pearnel. You know that.
Yeah.
The parliament works in an entirely adversarial mode. And we are sick and tired of that now. And I regret, I consider it an honor to have sat there for the many years that I did. Not as many as yours. But I am deeply regretful to have made such little impact on this chronic divisiveness, which makes us forget the ultimate objective why we're there.
And Ronnie, while we were here a few weeks ago, we said something. And we look back. And we have to regret some of the things that happened while we were there, you know.
Yes, but
we have to regret,
of course,
some of the things that we didn't see through,
Yes.
or we didn't get done,
Yeah.
or we didn't see to others trying to get
Okay,
it done.
and the purpose of being here, one of the purposes of being here, is to acknowledge that, but not at the same time to be buried in depression, but rather to try and encourage a different approach.
Yes.
And that is true also with the broader issue of values that we were talking about earlier.
Well, I like the point that we should say to those who are there, we were not good enough, or we didn't do it good enough, or we didn't do enough. And we are suggesting to you that here is something that you should do. And they're going to say, well, you never do it.
Well, no, but that is the weakest defense. Anybody who says that,
Yeah, you know.
it's the weakest defense, because what you're doing, having said that and having accused me and tell me go sit down and shut up, yes, does not advance the cause of what is needed to be done one bit. So I'm very, very, I box that away very, very quickly. But we have some forces in this country that we have to talk about. I saw a comment recently where Lady Saw, you know her?
Who that?
Lady Saw,
Yeah, yes,
the
yes.
dance hall lady, Marian Hall,
Yes.
evangelist Marian Hall. She was the most raunchy dance hall woman, yes, pure sex, and then she get convert.
Convert to what?
She Christian. And
Christianity.
She came out of dance hall, and she took up gospel singing, and I really admired the transition that she made. Recently, I'm told that she has said she's going back to dance hall. To spread the gospel there. But then I saw a comment by somebody, what them name so, called Footer Hype, and Footer Hype say about Marian Hall, him say she must come back a dance hall because Christianity is foolishness. So Mr. Footer Hype, if I'm quoting you correctly, sir, if Christianity is foolishness, yes, if the way, the truth, and the light of Jesus, whether you accept him for what a Christian accepts him or not, if you say that is foolishness, what are going on in your head? What is the message? What is the philosophy that you are?
What's the opposite of what you think?
Thank you, sir. Yes, and how can dance hall take the place of Christianity? I can understand Marian Hall, Lady Saw, right, saying that I wish to speak to that audience, that congregation.
To tell them why I was there
precisely.
and why I'm not there.
So I'm not
I go back
backsliding.
there to advise
Yes,
them.
I can understand that. But when you or somebody else makes that comment, and maybe you're brave in making it because many others will feel it but not say it, I'm asking you, what are your values? What are your abiding principles? What is your view of yourself and anybody else?
But I think you need to point out that the young lady is not going back to our original dancehall situation.
No.
She's going back as she is now to say to those who are there, you don't have to be like that.
No.
You understand?
And
because I have walked both roads.
Right, and that the medium, the dancehall, can have a different message, which is a message of wholesomeness, a message of commitment, a message of upliftment. Yes? Not that which I used to espouse.
Right,
but
and why?
And why? Yes? And why? And still maintain your popularity and use your popularity not to get a whole heap of money and forwards, yes? But use your popularity to influence other people.
Ronnie, I don't know if you recall that some of the musicians had switched to the religious music.
Yeah.
And somebody said, because them sell more record at church. In other words, the church people were a bigger audience.
I would be glad if they sell more records, because that I don't dispute that. But the point is, this is not the altar call or the place for it. But what I am saying is that in your living, you have to defend something. You have to defend some principles. Otherwise, let me tell you something. You're a danger to yourself. You're a danger to the rest of us. And beg you, please, I won't beg you more anything else. Don't have no picnic. Because if you have picnic and you just make them grow so, and you don't teach them something, you don't teach them principle, you don't teach them what is right, you don't teach them to respect themselves.
Yeah, we're going to look for them at the prison before you there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Charles. You see? So that is the message we are preaching now.
I just said that, Ronnie. Give me 10 seconds to say it.
Yes, sir, more than that.
I don't know his name.
Mm.
I hope that by saying it, somebody might have remembered. There was a Rasta man, Rasta because of how he dressed, carrying 2 children on a motorbike every morning up Eastwood Park Road,
Yes, sir.
going to school.
Yes, sir.
And let me tell you something, because I was coming from tennis about that time, and I always see him.
Yeah.
And I said, look at that.
Yeah.
And I was telling someone, say, me know him. Say, say, him plait them here
Yeah.
is him put on them clothes,
Yeah.
and them no make them rasta,
Yeah.
Follow
No.
me? He said, at a state they will retire that.
Yes, sir. Yes,
But
sir.
so,
Look at
man,
that.
and said the wife died long time,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
took those 2 children
Yeah.
to school.
Yeah.
I don't know what has happened to them. I hope somebody is listening that
If I
will
had
tell us.
in the papers this morning, I can't remember which one. There's one of the most beautiful pictures I've seen. Yeah, more. I'm a ladies' man,
Yes.
but you could it's beautiful like any woman's body to me when you see a young guy, yes, kissing his little daughter's lips as he sends her to school yesterday. What a beautiful picture!
I saw it,
Yeah.
I saw it. Because, you see, you might not understand this. Many daddies
Yeah, man.
are closer to the girls
Yeah.
than mummies.
Check Pearnel and check Ronnie.
So, I have a daughter that everybody's saying, you're making the other girls, the other children jealous. Isn't that me?
No.
You understand?
Yeah.
So they'll kiss their father,
Yeah.
and they say, but I don't want to give a kiss, mother.
Yeah.
Eh?
But hold on now. This is the image that we want to give. This is the values, We're a young father,
Yes.
many of whom
Young man, too.
young man, yes, and he's taking the child to school, whether
Yes.
on the motorcycle or whatever vehicle my
Right.
picture man use, and he's
kiss her bad goodbye to
kissing.
go in and do well.
Yes, now that little child is going to turn out good, It's going to turn out good.
One of these days,
Yes.
one of these mornings,
Right.
I will tell you about a father that I happen to know
Yeah.
that they laugh at
Yeah.
when somebody tell him, says he's picnic.
Yeah.
They say, no, for your picnic. Say, yeah, so you say.
Uh-huh.
And every time people laugh at him until the child graduated from high school in Carrot, and when the girl turn a nurse and come back one Sunday, you see, boss, in a car,
Yeah.
and come to daddy and blow.
Yeah.
You want to see man a peephole through window and say,
yes. Look here.
look here now.
Uh-huh.
And the girl put her father side her and drive in the district
Yeah.
and hold on window, make them see.
see that
I
now?
said, boy, I tell you, I said, congratulations, my brother.
But hold on now, Mr. Charles, because that just those little stories, little snippets that we're offering, that is virtue,
Oh, yes.
That is a virtue that comes irrespective of poverty, irrespective of circumstance. It comes from the heart.
Yes.
Yes? No.
And it's good that the child respond to
No,
that.
it is essential that they do. But if that same virtue, simply as it is taken into the halls of governance, of the financial sector, of the entertainment sector, yes, and you get that richness and truth of relationship into the family structure, as you always remind me not to forget. Yes, this is the essence and goodness of our people. This is the relationships and the love that was able to transcend and triumph over the barbarity of oppression, which is the story of our history. Yes. No. So one of the things that we are doing here, and we recognize it, is that there's a whole heap of good in this country.
Right, there's a whole heap of good in us.
Of course.
Oh, you didn't learn the poem. I'm going to I have to remind myself from Carrot. If there's so much good in the worst of us, and so much bad in the best of us, that it hardly behoves any of us to speak about the rest of us.
So
Mama teach us that from a little boy.
sir. Excellent. So why we don't carry that out now in how we govern the country? Yeah. So what you have done is allow Babylon system to overtake us and to suppress and submerge those subliminal, truthful, virtuous expressions and attitudes. Yes?
May I say something to you on that point? Because, again, we concentrate on the parliamentarian. That has to go everywhere, you know, Ronnie. It has to go into the police force.
Yeah.
It has to go into the schools.
Yeah.
It has to go into everywhere.
Yeah.
That, in fact, the politicians only enact with people mostly during the election period, you know.
Sadly.
Right?
So what is to prevent now? What money we're short of that could prevent us from expanding those instances of goodwill, of respect? Yes, Horace Levy wrote a book, a pamphlet called "They Cry Respect." If you show people respect, yes, if you show them that from their earliest stages, if that becomes a hallmark of public discourse, yes,
They pass it on.
of course it does.
And it is admired.
Yes,
And maybe laughed at in the beginning.
Yes, you will
But
win.
in the conclusion,
What you said earlier, you'll win some and you'd lose some. But I'm really hoping to conclude our discussion today that in 2022, just that simple progression and advancement of regard and respect in terms of what we do on the street, yes, how we drive, how we relate to each other, every aspect of life could be enhanced, even and could eventually enhance GDP rather than the kind of rush, the selfishness, the self-obsession that is now the dominant ethic.
may I show
That
you
is
a
the
quick one?
problem.
Let's go into the schools.
Last point to make.
There were some children who don't know what a tablet is, you know.
Yeah,
And there were some children who had tablet long time.
sure.
And so you know,
Yeah,
the rest is
exactly.
it's obvious.
So what we have to do is to even out
You have to even out the
those
thing,
imbalances.
rather that and bring everybody up to a level of understanding.
And then another morning.
So out of good, out of evil,
Yeah.
some good can come sometime.
Another morning we're going to talk about tone. In fact, we may not even have to talk about tone. We just express it right here on the bridge on Early Rise. Thanks so much for being with us, Chief Charles. A pleasure, sir. And thanks to Lafayne Wigan. Thanks to Richie Rainford, to Romy, to Audley, the entire production team here on the Bridge 99 FM.